Orphaned infants are being selected at birth as part of a new military training program called the Adam Project. These infants are then raised as highly disciplined soldiers dedicated to a strict routine in the military. They're trained to be heartless but obedient killing machines, not regarding any moral code of conduct. Amongst these killing machines is a little boy identified as Todd 3465. Welcome back to Lion Recaps. Today I'm going to explain Soldier. Spoiler alert, fun fact is that this movie was rumored to be set in the same universe as Blade Runner from 1982. At the toddler stage, they're forced to watch a wild pig get devoured by military dogs. At age 8, their talent is being subjected to strict evaluation. And at age 12, their endurance is tested. During this time, any soldier deemed physically or mentally unworthy is executed. At age 16, the survivors of the training program have fully been converted into emotionless, dedicated fighting machines with no exposure to or understanding of the world outside. By the end of the program, at age 17, the soldiers get their names tattooed on their faces for proper identification and branding. By the 38th year of joining the military, the soldiers have been deployed into many wars, coming out victorious. Their indulgence in wars continues until 2036, with Todd being the best soldier of the original 1996 infants. One day, Colonel Meekum, the leader of the Adam Project, introduces a new group of genetically engineered soldiers who, according to Meekum, have superior attributes and a complete lack of emotions compared to the original soldiers. Captain Church, the commander of Todd's unit, is against replacing Todd's unit, complaining that his father had told him not to fix what's already in good condition. Meekum then suggests they carry out a little test to convince Captain Church. The new soldiers outperform the originals in every single given test. A combat exercise is then issued by Meekum, who's ordered Todd and 2 squad members to go up against one of the new soldiers named Kane 607. The battle doesn't come off as easy, but Todd is able to gouge out Kane's right eye before he's knocked out like the other 2 soldiers. Appearing to be dead, we see that an already dead soldier had cushioned Todd's fall, but he's still knocked out cold. Meekum classifies it as a training exercise gone wrong and proves their uselessness by shooting an already dead soldier in the head before ordering that the bodies be disposed of like garbage. Meekum declares Todd's unit obsolete, so the rest of the soldiers are removed from combat duty and demoted to unarmed support roles. A while later, Todd wakes up inside a waste disposal ship, realizing he's been knocked out. Before he can think of anything, the disposal shaft opens up to drop the garbage. Unfortunately, Todd tries to hold on but is dragged by the garbage and disposed of on Arcadia 234, a waste disposal planet. He spots some people from a distance and limps his way in that direction until he comes to a stop at a colony hideout. While spying on them, a fierce wind throws him to the ground, and all he sees is a gathering of little children before passing out completely. The civilians quickly hold an emergency meeting to debate whether or not to help Todd. During the debate, a man named Jimmy returns to relay that there's no one else but Todd. He also informs them about how strong the wind is, causing the community to murmur and worry. Hawkins, the community leader, settles them down and convinces them to save an injured man as a decent act. He then puts Todd under the care of a couple named Sandra and Mace. The next day, Sandra goes over to give Todd some medicine when she sees the tattooed missions written all over Todd's shoulder. Just then, Todd opens his eyes, staring at her. She reaches out to feed him the meds, but he fidgets a little before allowing her to approach him. After that, Sandra goes to tell her husband about the words written on Todd's shoulder. Mace tells her that the words are battles that have happened, clarifying that Todd is a soldier. Meanwhile, Nathan, Sandra and Mace's son, goes over to the door staring at Todd. Todd looks at the little boy, his face defining no meaning as with the little child. Sandra soon starts to look for him, so he hurries off when he hears his name. Todd wakes up again the next day to the sound of laughter. He follows the sound to see Mace playing with Sarah and Nathan. When Mace sees him, he quickly apologizes to Todd for waking him up. Mace then tells him he had made something for him and picks up the clutch, which initially appeared as a weapon to Todd. Mace then explains that it was made to help Todd walk, but the soldier only stands there staring with his emotionless face. Later, during a community dinner, Mace tells how well Todd eats and how hungry he must be, so he offers his food to the soldier. An impatient Slade, one of the colonists, bolts towards their table to question Todd. He's doubtful of the fact that Todd found himself here without any memories, and also asks the soldier if he's a deserter. Todd replies that he was replaced by a better soldier, adding "sir" to every sentence he manages to utter. After the dinner, Todd sits with Sandra, who's busy hanging up laundry. She explains how they left Earth 12 years ago and crash-landed on Arcadia. Sadly, they were believed dead, so no rescue missions have been attempted. She also tells them that since they haven't been able to get out, they all forgot about having a better life on the Trinity moons. Sandra then notices Todd staring at her chest. Unknown to her, Todd has never considered sexuality before and is confused about this attraction to Sandra. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Meekum is busy organizing the plans for a biannual security sweep on Arcadia, using the new soldiers as an opportunity to test them in a non-training environment. Captain Church opposes the sweep, suggesting they check for refugees or possible miners who could be trapped there. But Meekum, on the other hand, couldn't care less. Instead, he tells Church that they might be classified as hostiles if there's actually anyone on the planet. Back in Arcadia, Sandra teaches Todd the basics of planting and farming when a green snake slithers through the plants. Todd hears its hissing, but before he can react, Sandra buries her blade down the creature's neck, to Todd's surprise. She warns him to watch out for the snakes, as her little boy Nathan had almost died of a snakebite once. After that, Todd goes out with the men to learn the act of salvaging useful items from the dump. Jimmy is then strapped by a chain and given a second chain with which he will strap onto any useful-looking object beyond the border point drawn by the colonists. Unfortunately, Jimmy is stuck to the object with the incoming wind. He manages to free himself, but cannot push through the wind and almost flies to his doom. Luckily for him, Todd lends a hand, and they're able to reel him back to the border side. As time passes, Todd tries to adapt to the community and their conflict-free lives. Despite having been through extremely rigid conditioning, he still can't figure out what he feels for Sandra and often looks upon the family with yearning in his eyes. While assisting Sandra in the kitchen one day, Todd cuts himself but still carries on with what he's doing until Sandra notices. She quickly ties up the wound, and out of curiosity, she asks Todd what he thinks about and feels as a soldier. Todd is quiet for a while, but when Sandra is about to walk away, he tells her, "Fear and discipline." Empathetic towards the soldier, she hugs him but quickly pulls away when she realizes he's uncomfortable. Christmas finally approaches, and while Todd is sitting watching the festivities come to play, the disorientation draws him into a flashback of his childhood training, so he excuses himself from the venue to sit and probably think. The next morning, Jimmy gives a scarf he had made specially for Todd to Sandra. He tells him he was going to give it to Todd last night, but he suddenly disappeared. Sandra then tells him to hand it over to Todd by himself, relaying to Jimmy that Todd is in the meeting room doing exercises. Meanwhile, while Todd is training in the meeting room, his increasing disorientation from the exposure to peaceful civilian life manifests into more flashbacks of his time battling other enemy soldiers and killing innocent victims who were in the way. With Todd's mind deep inside his violent memories, when Jimmy surprises Todd from behind, Todd nearly strangles him. As a result, the fearful colonists plan to expel Todd from the community. While Todd is asleep, he dreams of his rigid childhood life where he beats up a fellow kid. Just then, he's startled awake by Nathan, who makes for the door after dropping his toy but comes to a halt at the sight of a snake. When Nathan silently looks to Todd for defense against the snake, Todd attempts to show Nathan how to protect himself using his boots. Nathan's parents quickly intervene and disapprove of the lesson, unsure how to deal with the silent soldier. Todd is immediately taken up for a meeting by the colonists, who have agreed to expel him. Hawkins claims that they have no issue with him, but presents that he simply cannot fit in. In return, they offer him some warm clothes, boots, water, and what he might need to survive outside. Having been rejected by every society he's known, the military and the refugee civilians, Todd shows strong emotion for the first time. Overcome by the loss, he quietly cries. A short time later, Mace and Sandra are almost bitten by a snake while they're sleeping, but Nathan uses Todd's defensive technique from earlier and saves them. Now having a complete understanding of the value of Todd's lesson, Mace leaves to bring him back, regardless of the opposition of the colonists who fear him. After Mace finds Todd and apologizes on behalf of the colony, Mace and Todd spot the incoming soldier ship. Mace quickly yells, waving his hands in the air for help, but Todd stops him. The ship soon spots them and opens fire. Todd then tells Mace to stay close to him as they start running to avert the attack. The civilians are thrown into confusion in the community, now aware of the soldiers' arrival. Meanwhile, Todd and Mace are still running away from the tanks when Mace loses a leg to an explosion. Todd tries to stop the bleeding, but Mace knows he's bound to die, having lost a lot of blood. Mace is confused and wants Todd to assure him that the soldiers had shot him by accident, but Todd tells him it was intentional. Mace then pleads for Todd to protect Sandra and Nathan no matter what before he finally gives up. Meanwhile, inside the ship, an officer reports to Captain Church about the 2 unarmed soldiers reported killed by Meekham's soldiers. He also claims they've spotted smoke from a nearby camp. And while Church suggests the civilians be protected, Meekham dismisses him, saying it will be a good way to test his new killing machines. The colonists, on the other hand, prepare themselves for battle. They're accompanied by Hawkins, who steps up front to scope the perimeter, but they soon realize what they're up against when Hawkins is blown away by a missile. Another missile is fired, and the colonists begin to retreat. The soldiers attack the colonists with machine guns, blowtorches, and continuous firing of missiles until Todd intervenes. Though outmanned and outgunned, Todd's years of battle experience and superior knowledge of the planet allow him to kill the advancing squad. A call then comes in from the soldiers to get a report on their progress, but Todd replies with a growl. Nervous that an unknown enemy force may be confronting them, Colonel Meekham follows Captain Church's advice to order the soldiers to withdraw and return to be armed with heavy artillery so that they would launch a better attack at night from a safe distance. That night, while Todd is gearing up and getting ready for his next move, Nathan comes to stare at him again. Sarah then shows up and learns from Todd that Mace is dead. She then offers to help alongside the colonists to take down the soldiers, but Todd tells her they can't because soldiers deserve soldiers, and he also assures her to have them all killed before exiting the place. Using guerrilla tactics, Todd outmaneuvers and kills all the remaining ground soldiers. He then ambushes Crawler 1 by sneaking up on the surrounding soldiers and throwing a grenade into the crawler with one of the new soldiers in it. Todd then takes control of Crawler 2, unknown to Kane. When Kane realizes that Crawler 1's rider is an imposter, it's already too late, and Todd crushes the remaining soldiers in the way and collides with Kane's crawler, causing Kane a fatal crash. Another call immediately calls into Crawler 2, but Todd answers, declaring Meekham's new soldiers obsolete. Panicking, Meekham orders Todd's old squad to set up and activate a portable doomsday device powerful enough to destroy the planet. Meanwhile, Kane wakes up to the cold natural showers and uses painkillers and performance-enhancing stimulants on himself, then goes to find Todd. On the other hand, Todd is on his way to gather Sandra, the kids, and the rest of the survivors. He takes Nathan in his arms, but on their way out, they run into Kane, who attacks Todd in vicious hand-to-hand combat while the survivors retreat. However, Kane is ultimately defeated by Todd's experience and clever tactics, rather than just physical skills. Todd then finds his old squad setting up the device, and they silently side with him, saluting Todd and choosing to obey him. On the other hand, Meekham commands the ship to lift off and leave the squad behind, but Captain Church objects to the idea of abandoning the old soldiers. Meekham then shoots him in cold blood and orders Sloan, a fellow commander, to take over. Not long after, Todd's squad easily takes over the ship and captures Meekham and his allies. They then drag them to Todd. Meekham, who previously didn't care about the lives of the innocent, begs Todd for his life and soils himself in complete fear. Todd's squad then evacuate the remaining colonists and leaves Meekham and his allies on the planet with the doomsday device in its final countdown. Trying to disable the device, Meekham pushes Sloan away and enters random numbers into the device's control panel, thinking it's the password that would deactivate the bomb. When the countdown reaches 0 and the screen goes dark, Meekham rises from the control panel with an expression of smug self-satisfaction on his face. Unfortunately, the bomb detonates, destroying the planet and vaporizing Meekham and the other two. The ship escapes the shockwave, and following Todd's orders, they set course for the Trinity Moons, the colonists' original destination. When Nathan enters the control room and reaches for Todd, to the soldiers' surprise, he picks up Nathan and points to their new destination while looking out upon the galaxy. The end. Soldier is an American science fiction film directed by Paul Anderson. It tells the story of a highly skilled and emotionally distant soldier who's left for dead. He befriends a group of refugees and faces his superiors, who are determined to eliminate his newfound family. That's all from the video. I hope you liked it. Subscribe for more content like this and hit the like button to help us out. Also, leave a comment if you want us to recap your favorite movie. Until next time, take care.